Again, Mr. Walberg for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the panel for being here, and thanks for the work you do. Inspector General Horowitz, your report found, as you've indicated, that there was a relationship created with DEA agents and some limited use confidential sources that went beyond simply being a person who gives tips, to rather being in a partnership on behalf of and part of the DEA process. What are the privacy concerns with DEA essentially treating these sources as independent contractors and asking them to perform specific tasks?
Well, there are several, Congressman, one being that among what we found was the requests were for various traveler records, personal information, itineraries of travel for various transportation companies, collecting that information, not only collecting the information generally by directing people to do so. That's the first question. The second being, how is that information then protected? We had serious concerns about that. The third being little to no information being available on whether the collection of that information was useful in total. We can find evidence when DEA actually successfully interdicted drugs or what they believed was improper cash transportation. But they did not keep records on what the overall success rate was. We don't know, for example, whether they were batting 1,000 or batting 0.50. And that's a concern, because if you're going to ask for the collection of large amounts of records, I think the public wants to know that there's some success associated with that. And I know that's a concern we've talked about in the asset seizure context, and that's precisely what is potentially presented here.
Beyond the evaluation of success or failure, what other dangers do you see with this process?
Well, one that also comes up is the Fourth Amendment issue.
Okay.
If the sources, if individuals in the public act independently and want to call their police, their DEA office, the FBI, whomever, on their own, they're obviously entitled to do that, and of course, I think we would all hope they would do so if they saw illegal activity. It's a very different analysis if people are acting as the agent of the law enforcement agency.
And incentivized to do that.
And are incentivized to do that, and are incentivized in some cases quite substantially.
Okay. As you know, and you expressed that, I've had concern, long-standing concern with the civil asset forfeiture issue and asset forfeiture in general. It appears, when I came across the fact that there was an individual, a confidential source, working in the parcel industry that had the ability to open packages, but it came to be that they opened packages but only reported not on drugs or anything else, but simply on cash. Are you concerned that the DEA's policies are warping priorities by prioritizing asset forfeiture rather than the seizure of drugs?
That is a concern, and in fact, we have an ongoing review of the Department, and in particular the DEA's use of asset seizures, and I'm looking forward to issuing that in the near future, and part it grows out of some of the concerns that you've addressed and other members of the committee have mentioned on that issue.
Has DEA taken any steps to remedy this problem that you're aware of?
They have taken some steps, and we've gotten some updates about their intentions on collecting more information that would allow, for example, the DEA, most importantly, and us as well in our oversight role, to determine what is occurring, how frequently it's occurring, the success or failures, the incentivization or not of folks. I think there are several steps that are.
Mr. Patterson, could you address that?
Absolutely, sir. So certainly we appreciate the OIG's review of this. It's an important area. I will say simply we are working diligently on the limited use policy. It has now fallen under certain AG guidelines that it did not used to fall under the six-year review. I share his concerns as well related to Fourth Amendment violations or issues that may come up from such issues as the parcel interdiction. We have continued to look at training and making sure our employees are aware, and I think probably the most important issue that we're looking at is the changes to the limited use category to make it more robust and possibly moving that into a regular use informant as opposed to a limited use informant.
Okay, thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. And now recognize